Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great start to the week. Welcome to another episode of Narad News. And yeah, guys, let's get right into it. So let me pull this up. Okay, there we go. So today's topic is actually something that, in fact, the most, intelligent people in the world also don't know much about, right? And when this article showed up, I was like, okay, instead of going down, there is an article, there are some speaking points that I want to go over, but I also want to keep this very open ended, more like a discussion, so that all of you have more of a chance to go comment, engage in some sort of a discussion in the comments, and let's see if we can get a community going. So this is going to be about dark matter, right? Dark matter and dark energy. But the reason that this topic is becoming more and more interesting is because a lot of scientists seem to be of the opinion that quantum physics as we know it, is kind of hitting a wall, right? It's kind of reaching some sort of maybe a localized end or an absolute end, we are not sure, but it's reaching some sort of an end point in terms of what these models or what our current ways of conducting physics can give us, right? So obviously there was classical physics first, and then came the whole quantum realm where you have particles that can behave as waves, and as soon as you try to observe a particle, the wave function collapses, yada yada yada. I don't want to turn this into something that that can, become like a whole live or a whole series of lives on its own. But basically, there seems to be some sort of a brick wall that equations are reaching, essentially. Now, whatever lies beyond this lies in the realm of math, which is essentially conjecture based, because there is like the math works out, but the physics is not there to prove it, essentially, right? So, together with dark energy, dark matter, these two are the biggest scientific mysteries of our time. And let's go into this article where there are several opinions given by scientists, postdoctorate students, very smart people on the intersection of physics and astrophysics and religion, essentially, right? Now, Prescod-Weinstein says that she has drawn on Reconstructionist Jewish teaching and the Torah for specific inspiration, because the Torah, which is the first 6 books of the Old Testament, talks about people who lived in a very intimate relationship with the land and the night sky, right? Another one this article talks about is Brittany Kamai, the second native Hawaiian to earn a doctorate in astrophysics. So thank you, congratulations, Dr. Kamai. Also, the developer of the Fermilab holometer. This is a device that tries to figure out what dark matter and dark energy are, how much of it is there, whatnot. I don't understand it more than that in too much detail. Navigates. So she's from Hawaii. Water culture is a part of her being. She navigates till date using, celestial bodies. She's a celestial navigator, not a GPS navigator. And she seems to think that there's a missing link, and that missing link is somehow there in spirituality, right? Another one, Doug Watson. He's a postdoctorate fellow. He is researching dark matter, and when he felt burnt out, his wife she sort of pushed him towards embracing ISKCON. This is a movement dedicated to Lord Krishna of Hinduism. Lord Krishna is a version of Lord Vishnu, and then, yeah, this again another rabbit hole for another day. But basically, through being a part of this movement, he got to read the Bhagavad Gita, which is the quintessential teaching of Krishna, if you will, right? And in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that Krishna's gaze animates the universe. Of course, can't be taken literally, right? So he sees all these stories that appear in the Bhagavad Gita as giving him inspiration on new ways of thinking about the origins of the universe, right? In fact, since I am a Hindu myself, there is also a version of creation which is related, is that the whole universe is created by the breath of Brahma. So one inhalation, I think, is creation, and one exhalation is destruction. And then the whole management and the happenings within the universe are essentially happening within the, I think, within one night of Vishnu or something. There is countless versions of all this in Hinduism, right? So there's no end to it. Adam Frank, he's a Zen Buddhist, warns that basing faith or spirituality in a scientific paper whose relevance can sort of go up and down increases the risk of disappointment. I think this is my conjecture. The article doesn't go into detail on what Adam Frank is trying to say. The way I see it is science will always be imperfect. Spirituality at its core will always be perfect, but hear me out. Spirituality itself will be perfect. The way it manifests in all these texts will never be complete. Essentially, that's my way of looking at life, right? Kaner Dagley, an Islamic scholar with the College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts, his statement here, I'm quoting him, is transhumanists and other philosophers might think that if we just had enough computing power, we might be able to get the equations to really understand the universe completely. But that's off the table for Muslims because we believe God intervenes in history, He answers prayer. So this is the Islamic point of view coming from an Islamic scholar. Again, I'm not too well versed in the Islamic texts. Neither am I too well versed with the Jewish texts. So I'm going to sort of take them at face value here. Scientific inquiry could be a pathway to the divine. This is Adam Hinks's opinion. He's a Jesuit priest who teaches at the University of Toronto and serves as an adjunct scholar at the Vatican Observatory. Now, here is the big one, in my opinion, the biggest one, because still, this person is one of the most influential in this space. So Australian astrophysicist Ken Freeman, he is considered a dark matter pioneer. He did research in 1970, provided some of the first modern evidence of invisible mass in spiral galaxies. Freeman is Christian. Like many scientists before him, he wonders about the role of intuition in scientific discovery. You wake up in the middle of the night with a thought and you have no idea where it came from, right? People of faith might look at this as the action of the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost, as I think the Catholics say. Now, this is all the opinions that are sort of coalesced in this article, right? What I want to, or what my opinion here is that everything that we don't understand somehow ends up getting put in this realm of God, right? Now, almost all religions, all faiths, all over the world, whether they are monoistic, monotheistic, polytheistic, doesn't matter what flavor, there is some sort of a concept of a prayer getting answered, right? What we don't understand essentially ends up in this realm of God and to some extent spirituality, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of, that we don't understand everything. In fact, I personally take a sense of pride in saying that I don't know everything. I have a little keyhole through which I view the universe, I experience everything around me, based on which I form opinions, I listen to other people, maybe change opinions, maybe give them counter opinions, etc., etc. But it's a small sliver through which I'm seeing a very wide expanse. And of course, then by that extension, my vision is always going to be limited. And I think just being able to accept that produces a level of freedom that not all of us get to experience in today's world. And the simple reason for that is it is considered the right thing to have an opinion. I've always said, don't opine if you don't know enough. Now, some of you may ask what it means, or how do we know that we know enough? I would say, while it is more of an art than a science, try to find as much information, try to do as much research. And when you feel that you keep ending up, hitting sources, hitting published material, which is kind of leading you back to the same opinions that you have already heard, then you can reasonably say that you have sort of understood a lot of the different aspects. Then you can have an opinion, right? I think the same thing goes for science and spirituality. We have books in both the realms, and we have books in both the realms that are that are of two types: descriptive and prescriptive. Based on the faith system that I've been brought up in, I sort of subscribe to the descriptive side more, just because then I'm allowed to sort of form an opinion for myself on what I think of it. On the other hand, there are prescriptive texts, and you have your rules and commandments that you have to follow in order to subscribe to a faith. I think to the extent that any of these rules are compatible with today's society, I would classify them as good. And to the extent that if some of those are not compatible with today's society, I would classify them as bad. But ultimately, my view is that nature by itself is not sort of designed to classify as good or bad. It exists, it's happening, and we frankly don't know why that is the case. But we do have a societal construct within which there are well-defined good and bad, and we should always try to be on the good side, not because we might either break free from the circle of life or end up in some form of a heaven. We actually don't know what will happen after we die. What we do know is just by doing good, we'll get to live freely. We won't end up in prison. We won't end up being reprimanded. We won't end up having to face consequences which drag us back. And the reason being free and not getting dragged back is important is because it creates an emotional reaction in you which ends up in some way or the other poisoning you ultimately. That is why emotions like anger can actually not be sustained for that long by the body. Research has shown that You feel angry for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. But after that, it goes down. After that is just frustration. After that is just a little bit of the momentum that's taking some time to come to a stop. But that true, real anger, well, lasts a very short time. Because such an emotion is actually harmful to you physically over time. If you stay angry for long periods, it is going to affect you physically. And again, this is the realm where we don't understand everything, even with the tool called science. To me, that doesn't say that we understand everything through the tool called spirituality or religion either. But going back to my initial point, we just have to find solace in knowing that we don't know everything. Now, another point I want to touch upon here is, if we have to contend with not knowing everything, then what brings us motivation, right? Why should I go do something? What's the purpose of being here? What's the purpose of being alive? What's the purpose of going through, quote unquote, this life, right? I frankly don't have a good answer for this. I personally believe that every day you wake up, know that the fact that you woke up is the miracle, right? The fact that you were able to get up, the fact that you were able to enjoy consciousness for another day, that is the true gift that you receive every day that you're alive. We don't know what's going to happen afterwards, so it is pointless to debate if it's going to be a gift or a curse. We have no idea, frankly, and we'll never know. We can make movies about it, we can write more holy books about it, we can even maybe pass court judgments on it, but we'll never know unless there's a way to transcend, quote unquote, this realm of life, right? Now, if physics itself is reaching an end, how do we figure out, how do we learn more things? I've been thinking about this for a while, even before this article came along. In fact, it's these thoughts that keep coming in, and then reading them in this article, that's what sort of made me think that, okay, I should do this topic today. It's, if physics can't help us, if spirituality is also incomplete, then what is the one mechanism, or what is a mechanism to try and break free from the wall that we are sort of facing in the world of physics? I think we need to change the direction of the lens, right? Instead of looking outward, trying to find an external scientific proof for everything, we may have to start looking at experiential proofs. How do we perceive whatever is happening around us? There's always a reaction, right? You guys are watching this video, oh, this idiot is talking. Okay, you feel that this is an idiot, so there is your reaction. What caused it? Why was it caused? Is it possible that even though you are, listening to an idiot, could you just still be within yourself, just be normal, be happy, be unfazed, be unaffected? I think the more and more humans learn how to conduct themselves, how to make the choice of how they feel in every moment, the answer to all our questions will lie somewhere along this path. There have been times in my life that I've been a very dedicated practitioner of yogic practices. Someday I can talk about those in more detail. But whenever I'm able to find consistent time to do those practices, I automatically find myself just happy. Anything can happen in a given day. Maybe a so-called bad day at work, maybe just an exhausted week, or something not going right in the family. No matter what, I just find myself being happy for no reason. And I feel somewhere subconsciously I am able to choose to be happy no matter what the external situation is. I don't know how the link will join up. I have no way of knowing. But I think the more, hypothetically, if I were to go along that path where I try and tweak where I'm able to tweak every little aspect of my life in a certain way, I can build the life I want, not necessarily just materialistically, but also internally. I think at some point there will be, quote unquote, a revelation which will then clear up all these mysteries of the world. Now, at that point, assuming that even happens, I'm not sure if there will be a way to put those in words or equations, or just prose in general. But I do believe everyone has a capability to be able to get there. It will take some effort. I don't think anything in life comes without any effort. But still, it would be a worth it journey, in my opinion. Of course, we have daily lives to live. We have work. We have other responsibilities. So is it possible for everyone? Maybe not immediately, but maybe sometime later in life when the stresses have normalized, if there is anything like that anymore, maybe we can all find time to sort of try and get there. From maybe being in a black hole to being a part of a multiverse, to an ever expanding universe, I think we have sort of reached a limit to where external observation can lead us. Now we are truly in the realm of conjecture. And conjectures are good. A lot of modern discoveries, modern inventions, all of them at some point were conjectures. And then they came into reality in some form or the other. Either they were proven or they were invented, something along those lines, and then we had some physical proof. But I do think that at some level we have hit like some sort of a invisible wall. It's almost like you've been in a matrix all along. If you haven't had your daily dose of matrix analogies, we have been living in a matrix. At some point there was a little bit of an awakening. We started digging around, we found a lot of doorways, pathways, but now we are sort of in a maze. We are at the edge of that maze. We just don't know what that final door is, but it could just be possible that we are looking for that door in the wrong way. Maybe the door is everywhere. We just haven't figured out the tools to actually unlock that door. That key is not available. And this is all hypothesis, right? Am I trying to sell you guys spirituality? No. Am I trying to sell you guys science? No. I don't think I'm capable of doing either. But I do think that some sort of internal reflection, some level of daily you time, me time, will eventually help us all get there. Anyways, guys, do let us know what you think about this discussion. Please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, have a great rest of the day. This week's Wasted Wanderers will be earlier than usual, so see you guys Thursday evening. And till then, have a great rest of the week. Ciao, ciao.